The Cubs have received Kyle Tucker in a blockbuster trade for Isaac Paredes, top third base prospect Cam Smith, and right-handed pitcher Hayden Wesneski. The Cubs of all teams. Now, after Juan Soto got his bag, his $765 million deal, I think it was pretty evident that he was going to get traded, but I'm just kind of surprised that it was the Chicago Cubs. Part of me really likes it for the Cubs, but part of me is like, this is risky. That's a lot to give up, and Kyle Tucker is on an expiring contract. He has one guaranteed year left, so there's a big possibility that it ends up like a Juan Soto situation for the Yankees last year. The Yankees traded for Juan Soto and he left via free agency. So there's a big possibility that Kyle Tucker could do the same thing, and that's a lot to give up. However, this makes the Cubs a much better team right now than without Kyle Tucker. I think this is a win, at least for 2025. I mean, let's look at what Kyle Tucker did last year. He was a 4.5 win player basically, and he played half this season. 277 at bats, he hit 23 home runs, batting average right around 300, a little bit below, on base over 400, OPS close to 1,000, and his OPS plus was 181. That's an insane year. He was in MVP talks before he got hurt last year. That's how good he was playing, and he has been good for a while now, and I don't think he gets the credit he necessarily deserves. I mean, if we take a look at what he's done from 21 to 23, he has put up some numbers. I mean, he's averaged 30 home runs a year, 100 plus RBIs a year. He strikes out less than 100 times per year. He walks a decent amount. He steals some bags. He's just a very good all-around player. But the thing is, if he plays like he did last year and he puts it together, if he stays healthy for a full season, playing the way he did last year, his free agency is going to be crazy. And I think for this to be worth it for the Cubs, they have to give him an extension. But I don't think that's gonna happen. I don't think they work out an extension. I think Kyle Tucker will hit free agency just because of what Juan Soto got last year. 2025 is his age 28 season, so he's still relatively young. He's going to hit free agency in 2026. He's going to be 29. He's still relatively young to hit free agency, maybe not as young as Juan Soto, but he is going to command a very large contract. I wouldn't be surprised if it was mid fours, maybe 500 mil, maybe a 10-year deal, 12-year deal possibly. Juan Soto's deal that he was offered from the Yankees would have gotten him to age 41. The Mets got him to age 40. So there is reason to think that maybe Kyle Tucker gets the same amount of years to get him to age 40 season. So it's great for the immediate future for Chicago, but maybe not so much in the long term because they gave up quite a bit. They gave up Isaac Paredes, who is a very good player, but he is just not fit for Chicago. He played horrible in Chicago. He was very, very good in Tampa Bay because he is a dead pull hitter and he took a very big advantage of that left field. The Trop has one of the shortest left fields in all of baseball, if not the shortest. Is I think 315 right down the line. And he took advantage of that. Look at what he did in Tampa Bay last year. I mean, he 245. This was actually kind of a down year for him compared to 2023. But last year in Tampa Bay, he had 16 home runs, an OPS close to 800, a 2.5 win player before the break. Then he gets traded to Chicago, and it went all downhill. 223 average, 633 OPS, hits 3 home runs in 179 at bats. He is just not made to play in Chicago. He is made to play in Tampa Bay. He is made to play in Houston. I mean, if you look at his spray chart right here, all of his homers are to left field, like right down the line right there. And that's not a good thing for Chicago. So I don't think he was going to be very valuable in Chicago. But if you dangle him in front of Houston, they have the Crawford boxes that he can take big advantage of. I think he's going to mash in Houston. He's a very big asset for Houston. He makes them better now, but not as good as if they would have held on to Kyle Tucker. But this is very good for Houston's future. And included in the trade was the Cubs' top prospect, Cam Smith, who is now Houston's top prospect, according to MLB.com. And he was the first round pick for the Cubs this year. And he made it all the way to Double-A after being drafted in June. And he went kind of nuts. He hit over 300. His OPS 1,000, hit 7 home runs, 4 triples, 5 doubles. He struck out 24 times. He takes his walks. His on-base percentage was almost 400. So that's a big time prospect. But we all all know sometimes prospects don't pan out, but I just feel like he's gonna mash. I think he's gonna go off in Houston. So that's a big loss too for the Cubs, especially for their future if they don't extend Kyle Tucker. Hayden Wesneski has a little bit of upside too. He was once a top prospect for Chicago, and he had a decent year last year. I know he has a negative WAR, but he had less than 4 ERA over 67 innings. That's not terrible. His whip approaching 1.15. Not bad. He still has some room for improvement. He's 27 years old. Maybe he finds something in Houston. He's someone they could utilize right away. So I like this trade for both. I think I like this trade more for Houston, if I'm being honest, because they get a couple guys who can impact right now. Isaac Paredes, I think, is going to mash. Hayden Wesneski, I think he's going to be okay. And Cam Smith, I mean, he is very, very promising. I'll be happy to eat my words if he doesn't pan out. But I think this is just kind of risky for the Cubs. I mean, that's a lot to give up for Kyle Tucker, who granted is amazing. Since 2021, he is in the top 10 in WAR, including his half a year last year. He missed half the season last year, and he's still in the top 10 in wins above replacement in all of baseball since 2021. That's how good Kyle Tucker is. But is that going to be worth it if he leaves via free agency? Because I don't think the Cubs are going to pay him, because they're already trying to shed payroll. They traded Cody Bellinger to the Yankees and sent cash along with him. And does that mean they're not going to spend any more money? Because if that's the case, I think their roster is lacking a little bit. I think their lineup lacks a little bit of punch, even though the top 4, top 5 are decent. Ian Happ, Kyle Tucker, Seiya Suzuki. That's a decent top 3. Michael Busch had a good year last year, but it's still, you know, he's still relatively young in his baseball career, in his service time, 27 years old, not necessarily the youngest player. Dansby Swanson is amazing in the field, but he had a down year on offense, and he's not getting any younger. This is going to be his age 31 season. Nico Horner's great in the field as well, but he lacks a little bit of power, lacks a little bit of pop. I know there's been a couple trade rumors surrounding him. Picro Armstrong is a great center fielder. His bat is yet to be proven. It's yet to be concrete, solidified. He still has massive upside. He had a great year last year. Matt Shaw and Miguel Amaya. Now I know Matt Shaw has a lot of upside, but is he going to start the year at third base for the Cubs, like their opening day third baseman? And I know Miguel Amaya had a decent second half last year, so maybe I'm just kind of underrating that lineup, but I am not really convinced that they are a major threat in the NL. Now I do think they can be a threat to win the NL Central, but I mean, I say that every year. I say the Brewers every year. This is the year the Brewers don't win the NL Central, and then they win the NL Central. So the Brewers just are there every single year. I do like the rotation though. Shota Imanaga, Justin Steele, that's a really, really good top 2. Jamison Taillon, you know, he's not bad. Matthew Boyd, if he pitches like he ended last year, I mean, that's a really good find for them. And Javier Assad is not bad either. But I am just a little bit not convinced that what Chicago's doing is going to work. I'm happy they're trying right now, and I think this is the time to try. You know, you got a couple guys on the team that are getting a little bit older. Ian Happ's 30, Dansby's going to be 31, and they lack that firepower, that really big bat in the lineup, and I think they wanted Cody Bellinger to be that, but it wasn't him. Belly's just not the same as he was in LA. Now, he had a great 2023, but he came back down to reality in 2024, which is why they sent him to the Yankees. And Kyle Tucker is a massive, massive upgrade for a lefty bat over Cody Bellinger, but I'm just not convinced. I'll be happy to eat my words, because I don't think the chances of Chicago keeping Kyle Tucker past 2025 are very big, and that's why I think it's risky that they went out and traded all those guys for Kyle Tucker. But let me know what your thoughts are. Let me know if you agree with me. If you disagree with me, let me know in the comments. Hit that thumbs up if you like this style of content, and subscribe for more. Appreciate you all tuning in. I'll see you next time.